Welcome, everybody. I'm not sure how this is going to go today because a whole lot of people had snow days today, including our school district. So, um, yeah, we'll see if we have some more folks show up here, but it may be maybe a small group today. As usual, Dakota is recording so we can put this on our um, YouTube channel. So hopefully, some folks get back from their snow vacation. We can get them caught up on what's going on. Got a few more people coming in here. Um, I want to start by looking at our agenda for today. We're going to look at, as we usually do, start with our network updates, what's going on in the network. Um, we have a guest with us today, first time joining us on one of our network calls, I think. Is that right, Bethany?
Yes, definitely.
Um,
Excited to be here though.
yeah, Bethany's relatively new, not totally new, but relatively new to the KDA staff, working on ag education and outreach. And there's been a couple announcements recently, KDA initiatives, so she's going to go over those with us. We're going to look at the work that's been done on the toolkit for community partners and start thinking about what we might do for National Garden Month in April as far as school gardens go. So that's what we're looking at for today. And so, by way of introductions, if you would put in the chat your name, your role in Farm to School, and a favorite winter activity, and then anybody who's joining a network call for the first time, I'll invite you to introduce yourself to everybody. So Bethany is new, and maybe Carol also.
Did you want us to introduce ourselves? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I can start. Also, Grace Reagan just texted me. She
Yep,
said she's waiting in the chat
I just let her
or
in.
waiting.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. So I'm the Director of Agriculture Education and Outreach for the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. Before this, I was a agriculture teacher and FFA advisor at Seneca High School, which is in Louisville, Kentucky. So I'm well versed in all things agriculture education, and I've been here since September, so I'm still relatively new. And one of the big initiatives I'm working on is the statewide Ag Education Week.
Thanks, Bethany. Good to have you here. Um, Also looking for anybody else who is joining a network call for the first time if you would like to introduce yourself. All right. We will jump on into network updates. Thanks to everybody who's putting your introductions in the chat. We have a bunch of snow haters on the call today. Okay. Um, so the network updates that I want to share with you all today are about the school garden mini grants and where we are with that, the local coordinator cost share. I've been in communication this week about the Kentucky School Nutrition Association summer meeting and planning for that. And then what's going on with the Innovation Spotlight video contest. Also, we've got pending this project of creating a toolkit for community partners in farm to school and garden month planning, but they're on the agenda later to come back to those. So I do want to point out Carol Chumley is joining us for the first time, but doesn't have access to use a speaker. So Carol is a farmers market participant, and this is her first time on a network call. So thanks for joining us, Carol. So to get into a little more detail on a couple of these, we received 64 letters of intent to apply for the school garden mini grant. And I've mapped those from across the state. We used the Kentucky Education Association regions this year to organize these. So a really great spread from across Kentucky. We had at least 2 applications from each region except for Northeast Kentucky. But in case anybody feels like Northeast Kentucky might be getting left out, we did have one of our 4 grantees from 2024 was from Boyd County. So they might have missed us this round, but we're not missing participation from that part of the state. So we have a small working group who are getting together tomorrow to review these letters and invite some schools to submit a full proposal. And then those are due by the end of February. And hopefully that means in March we can be getting signed agreements with this year's grantees and get that money out for getting gardens going for this season. Any questions about what's happening with the school garden grants? I'll just add a word of thanks to Monica Smith from Northern Kentucky Health Department and Kimberly Hare from Bullitt County Schools, who are my volunteers this year on helping with the school garden grants. They helped me revise all the materials and are going to do the reviews with me. Another initiative that has been on the back burner to get the school garden grants going is this local coordinator cost share. But we have put in a grant extension request for our USDA grant to be able to make this go through the whole growing season. So it should get the spring, the summer meals, and then the fall. But this will be a cost share to be able to hire part-time local coordinators for schools to be able to implement local purchasing and local farm food activities. So that now that the school garden grants are up and running, this is like next big push for me is to get this application open. It'll be $5,000 total we will put in 2,500, and there'll be we're asking for a 2,500 match from the school or a community partner or other sponsor to fund those part-time positions. Y'all, if you have questions at any time, you just pop right up, and there's few enough of us today that we can be conversational. So the Kentucky School Nutrition Association is putting together their program for their summer meeting. It will be in Louisville this year in June. The network has been invited to do a couple of presentations, so I'm working on putting together those. Got John says he's also presenting at KSNA, yay. But in addition to presentations, we'll also be planning for what our participation in the school food trade show is going to look like. So for the last 2 years, we have been exhibitors in the trade show and done sampling of Kentucky farm foods. So here in this photo, we were sampling a kale salad and some fresh cut veggie sticks and raspberries. So that first year, this year in the photo, we were just one little booth in this sea of big corporate food companies like Land O'Lakes and General Mills cereals and frozen pizzas. Alan knows about this because the Dairy Alliance is an exhibitor in this too. I think we have the best samples too, Alan. Thank you very much. So we just want in the middle of like all of this, all of these food options to say, hey, Kentucky farms have a lot to offer to your schools in terms of freshness, taste, colorful things. And so last year we actually had a little collection of booths together where we had the Food Connection from UK was next to us doing some samples, and Clem's Refrigerated Foods also. So we had a little Kentucky farm food section instead of just our one booth by ourselves. So working on planning for that again this year. And a word about this Innovation Spotlights video contest. It had been planned to take place at the Kentucky Farm to School Summit back in December, but there was too much going on all at once there around the summit, and I didn't give it as much attention as I would like to have, and we didn't get enough entries to really have a competition. But I do have outstanding prize money to award, and I dearly love the idea of this. So it's on my plans to do some targeted recruiting of folks to make entries, but they're short 3 to 5 minute videos that are sharing some kind of success in farm to school efforts. That could be in the cafeteria, in the classroom, on the farm, in school gardens, a whole list of ideas of different things that it could be. Something that saves time and labor, an idea that for a lesson that meets core curriculum requirements, or a garden activity that has cross-curricular connections. A unique partnership highlight, unusual cooking techniques for using farm fresh foods, a clever fundraiser, ideas for cost savings, school garden tips and tricks, or just a lesson idea that worked really well. So those are some of the kinds of things that we're looking for success stories, and I will hopefully in the February newsletter, which should be coming out very soon, announce when this video contest is going to be rescheduled for. And yes, John, I have that entry. So John helped get together an entry, and I'm holding on to that one from the co-op. All right, so I am going to stop sharing right now and turn it over to Bethany to tell us about what is going on with these new initiatives from the Kentucky Department of Agriculture.
Okay, can you see this screen now?
Yep.
Okay, it's been a little bit since I taught via COVID, so I had to refresh myself a little bit. The majority of what I know is centered around Ag Education Week, but I can talk briefly about the STARS also. So the Ag Education Week, we just launched our website last week. We had a press conference last Wednesday that went really well. If you were able to attend, that's fantastic. If not, it's been all over Facebook. So if you type in Kentucky Agriculture Education Week, I'm sure you can find some references to that. The main source for all of our information is going to be released through this website. So you can already go on and find the majority of resources and things like that. So I'm going to go through just a couple things, but feel free to explore as you go. And then I'll put a link to this website in the chat also. So this is the main Ag Education website. And then if you scroll down, you've got 4 different boxes. The lesson plans are geared more towards educators, and they have a ton of resources in here. Just making sure you can still see what I clicked on a new window, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it's broken down into different grade levels and different school levels. And there's some resources here for superintendents and principals as well. And then if you dive into each of these, it goes into our different initiatives based on what educators need to know. So some of you I know are educators there. So this might be where you find all those resources. But if you're not an educator and you're looking at how you can get involved in other resources we have, then this is probably for you. If you go diagonal down, you can get on the Get Involved section. And as that little happy tree is loading, then it can give you some different ways that you can get involved. So the first one is the Real Ag Experience. This is broken down into 2 different areas. So you can offer a tour to a farm or an agribusiness if that is under, something that you have access to. And we have everything under the sun. So we've got a Southern States signed up. We have Farm Credit Mid-America offices signed up to talk about ag finances. We have traditional farms. We have small farms that are a couple acres, all the way up to several farms that have more than several hundred acres. So it goes through the gambit. And if you're, not sure about that, you can watch the video here of Commissioner Shell. He's given a call for people to sign up for that experience. And if you think about how you came to agriculture, there's usually a core memory or 2 that you have. And if you ask yourself, if I didn't have that memory, would I be here today? that's kind of the understanding of Agriculture Education Week. So we're trying to make sure those kids have core agriculture memories that then hopefully they can take into adulthood as educated consumers, or maybe even become involved in the agriculture industry as like their professional career. So there's the Ag Tour business sign up that you can click on if you would like to sign up for that. The last day to sign up for that is February 15th, which is this Saturday. If you're not sure if you want to do this or not, I'll be at the Farm Machinery Show, and you can do a quick training with me and make a decision then. Is this right for you or not? If you're looking for resources, you can again click resources, and it has everything that you need to know from the farm or agribusiness side of things. These are supports we have in order to make sure your tour is successful. And next week, there'll be a video in here as well that has some information that we went through on the workshop if you weren't able to come on Saturday at the Farm Machinery Show. The other half of this is bring ag to the classroom. So maybe doing a tour isn't right for you, but you could go into the classroom and talk about your garden, or talk about maybe the farm stuff that you do or your job in the agriculture industry. So you can click that to sign up. And then we again have those resources available, just like the previous one. Another thing you can do is volunteer with Kentucky Farm Bureau with their stories about ag. So you can sign up here, resource again here, and you just go into the school and you read a book about agriculture. If you're not sure what those books look like or where to get one, you can always get some from your local library. The county farm bureaus usually have a good stockpile of them that they will let you borrow. And then you can also click this link and it'll open up to the American Farm Bureau Foundation for Agriculture, and it goes directly to the books that they recommend as agriculture books. And if we go back to our resources, there's a couple more things I want to point out. So you can click resources here, and you can find out a little bit more about these. So the Real Ag Experience is that tour or going into the classroom to teach. So you can click on whatever region you are in, and then it'll open up a contact list. And these are constantly getting updated too. We have another update after some of those signups close. But the first one here are volunteers in this particular region, and it'll say what counties they're available to volunteer in. And then the next section is all of the farms and agribusinesses who have signed up for this region. So if you click on your region and you notice that there's not a whole lot of signups there, we would love for you to help us get those signups in by the end of the week, so that we can make sure that those are available to teachers. Generally, teachers have to turn in that paperwork about a month in advance. So that would be through the next week or so. So we really need to have that updated for teachers. And that's why that sign up closes this Saturday, so that we can get these updated. If you keep scrolling down, we've got some of our different initiatives. So one of them is broadening the scope of agriculture careers. And we created a playlist for different careers. These are people who are working in Kentucky in agriculture. So there's 13 different careers, and then there's other activities you can do with them as well. There's going to be a virtual read aloud library for people who maybe didn't have a volunteer come in to read to them. So there's different people who are volunteering to do that, including Commissioner Shell. And then we have a live Ask an Aggie panel. And then we have tons of different lessons and things like that that you can take part in. So that's kind of the rundown of the website and everything that we're offering. But really, this is a community-driven project. So we're hoping to have a lot of community involvement, and a lot of this is what agriculture looks like here in our home county. So if you're not involved or you haven't had the opportunity to sign up for anything, we would love for you to get involved. Those different signups close either February 15th or March 1st. So we're hoping to get a really big turnout. And already we can say that we've had a ton of different people step up to the cause. So we are hoping we have even more through the rest of our sign up time. Does anybody have any questions on anything I've gone over so far? Okay. Am I sharing my screen still or no?
No.
Okay. Hey, Laura, good to see you, or sort of see you, hear from you. Um, Laura was one of our teachers who came to our press conference, and she showcased Creekside Elementary. And then we had Second Street School also. I think I saw maybe Connie here too. And they did a fantastic job. And we had a lot of people come out, legislators and a lot of people from the community and commodity groups come out, and they were able to learn from the students firsthand everything that they've been working on to teach agriculture at the elementary school level. Those kids blew me away. They blew away everybody. They were fantastic. And Commissioner Fletcher, who's the education commissioner, has spoken so passionately about what he learned from those students. And he said something earlier today, like literally just a couple hours ago, when I was talking to him about how impactful that was. So good job to you guys. That was fantastic. For the stars, what I know about that is that the application should be coming up and available on the KDA website here in the near future. And then schools will have until July 31st to turn that in. And then it will be awarded in October during Farm to School Month, which I'm really excited about. I'm so excited that we're putting a focus on getting food to classrooms or to schools and to cafeterias. The person who's in charge of pulling all that together is Dana Feldman. So I can put her email in the chat too. So if you have direct questions, you can connect with her on that.
So that's a monetary award for schools that are doing outstanding work with local purchasing.
Yes. And you can apply for it. And I want to say it's around $10,000 there's 3 different awards that are given out. And I want to say it's like a 6, an 8, and a 10, but please don't quote me on that. But yes, that money is coming from the Ag Tag funds as well. So we've got the donations coming in from that, and some of them go back to the 4-H and FFA programs, and then some of it goes to support other initiatives like this. All right, if you think of any questions, I'm going to put my email in the chat too. Feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to help anybody who needs any help with anything.
Thanks, Bethany. Would you also put the link to the website in the chat there?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Laurie,
Yeah.
I had a question for KDA. I was on a call with KSNA, and they had shared the new incentive. Like they did not have information about the Farm to School incentive program, or really had anyone had talked to them. I just wanted to give you the FYI that you may need to reach out to kind of let them know and inform on that.
Okay. Will do. It's going to go in our newsletter. And
They had a lot of questions about the way it will work. Thank you.
Yep. I've got a press release to share about it. Okay, I'm going to jump back over here. I do have something I want to share from KDE also. So KDE had in their news this week about this training for summer food service sponsors. So if you are an organization that you're involved with wants to host a summer meals site or to be a sponsor for summer meal program, they've got this. They're planning a training. There's not a date for it yet, but there's an interest form that you can fill out, and um, so they can know if to plan you in for their training.
Hey, Lori,
Yeah.
there are set dates. You're talking about the summer food service program trainings.
Mhm.
We've done them in Eddyville and Bowling Green and London. There was supposed to be one today in Moorhead that got canceled, but the remaining ones are in Frankfurt this month. I'll drop the dates in
Okay.
there. You'll have to reach out if you're interested through that interest survey.
Okay. So we're gonna take let's see how much time we got here. About 15 or 20 minutes and look at this toolkit for community partners. We had a work session at the summit back in December, but it's an ongoing project, and I want to get some more input rolling on it. The idea is that there's a lot of people who are interested in seeing more farm to school activities happening in their local schools, but they may not have like direct connections or know how to get started on encouraging farm to school activities locally. So the idea was to put together a toolkit for those kinds of farm to school advocates to have some ideas and direction to pursue those goals. So it will be in part one what we can help community partners know about how schools work, including cafeterias and classrooms, and then part two being what are the different kinds of resources that different kinds of community partners can bring to farm to school activities locally. So I struggled with my formatting here. My A and B are not lined up. Sorry. I couldn't make PowerPoint cooperate. But the work session at the summit had a lot of thoughts around cafeterias. We had a strong group of school food folks who were in that session who had a lot to say about the cafeteria part of things. And then we had, and I will say that there was a strong emphasis on this number 4 staff training under cafeterias. There was a lot of interest among those school food folks of getting training for their staff for using farm fresh foods. And then on the and then there's some thoughts about how to get involved on the classroom side of things also. So what I would love to do is take some time to see what thoughts you all who are here today would have to add to what your collective experiences are, or what advice you would have for someone who wants to be involved in their local school, either on the cafeteria side or the classroom side. And I will try to capture those thoughts and get them into the document that is becoming the toolkit. So is there anything you all have to share about how cafeterias work and how community partners could be involved in farm to cafeteria activities? Connie, I know you were part of this conversation at the
I didn't really share anything during the conversation because our food service directors in the conversation had a lot to share, and it was really helpful and interesting. You know, the one piece that we do here at Frankfort Independent that's been helpful for us has been to do some of our local food purchasing in partnership with our local farmers market, just so our smaller producers don't have to necessarily be set up as vendors with the school district. We set up the farmers market as the vendor and do smaller purchases. The market pays the farmers, and then once a month, the farmers market invoices the school district. And so that's been helpful in terms of fewer invoices flowing through the school district and less paperwork on lots of people's ends. It even makes kind of reporting for like buy local and local food for schools a little bit easier because there's just fewer invoices to be submitting. So that's something that has worked for us for smaller purchases, and we are a small district. So and then if we're buying more from a farmer, we buy directly from them. We have a $10,000 micro purchase threshold here, so we're a little careful about what purchases we flow through the market and which ones we flow through individual producers, just so we don't max out the market's micro purchase. So anyhow, that's something that's been helpful for us.
That's super helpful. Thanks. Anybody else thoughts on what people should know about working with cafeterias on local food activities?
I think one of the biggest things for me was that I needed to know my infrastructure in the community so that I knew well enough when the cafeteria had a problem, I knew how to connect or where to feed people in, because the biggest things you're going to hear is about procurement of local foods, to like prepping local foods into meals, the work that goes along with getting something that's fresh. And then the other thing is finding, not the procurement, also finding the product. So just keeping your eyes and ears open to what's happening in your community is some ways that you can help the cafeteria. The other thing I would tell you is what I discovered is that everybody seems to love farm to school and they're very excited about it. But sometimes when you are creating work for people, like sometimes you get a little bit of pushback about, I'm cutting up something new or processing something, that just kind of go with it and just be going with the flow. That this is people are learning something new. They're a little nervous about maybe trying something new. So just be patient.
I'll add one thing that came out before John kind of related to that was encouraging people to start small and do a little bit at a time. Like, don't come in and with a plan to overhaul every meal, every food item on the meal plan.
Yeah, I can agree with that one of the starting small. It feels less overwhelming. Just encouraging them to do like one item once a week or something like that, I think has been helpful. I also like helped with like taste testing or encouraged like, using students students or like PTA or, things like that to help with taste testing too, if they need more like staff or need more hands, whatever is what I'm trying to say. Um, and also taste testing like in the classrooms, not just in the cafeterias.
On this topic that was so popular, about staff training, does anybody have successes to share or thoughts? What what you've seen work or what you've seen offered as far as training goes?
I remember the discussion that day because I was there, being somebody had suggested using videos because they're always available
Mm-hmm.
and convenient. And I don't know if it was captured what the comments were around that. I feel like they still needed like watching a video was good, but like I think there was a comment about they still needed like a hands-on experience. And then there was also like comments of like just staff turnover being the problem. And so like kind of like continual training was an issue or needed to be available.
And it seems like they talked about like you had to do it in a short amount of time too. Was that not brought up like that you have to do like little bursts of trainings that are quickly performed, if I remember correctly? So, you can't type people up for hours because they don't have only so many amount of time to do kind of professional development.
Great. I'm capturing all of this just so you know. um, Alan, has the Dairy Alliance done any kind of like staff training activities for using dairy?
Yes, like we'll typically do targeted trainings for equipment grants that we provide. So, for example, with smoothies, if they're receive the smoothie grant and are starting a program there, we'll go in and typically because it's during the school year and even the school day, it's very specific training, like less than a half hour. Ideally, we would like have more like 45 minutes to an hour. But that's usually only in like a situation where it's back to school time when there is a little bit more flexibility in scheduling.
Okay. So moving on to thinking about classrooms and being involved in classrooms, what would you all want to see community partners know about how to get involved in classrooms? Obviously, we just heard from Bethany about this, being able to sign up to do classroom stuff for this 1 week, but So there's that. There's like special occasions to be involved in. What else about being involved in classrooms?
I think it would help if we could make any virtual connections just to like help them understand, especially if they're local farms that they can connect with virtually, be it just a FaceTime situation or an actual setup where it's a more like a classroom virtual meeting somehow. But when I look at like field trips on this list, I know that cost is very prohibitive for many schools. So if they could connect virtually with a farmer and still get kind of that on the farm experience while they're in their classroom, I think that would be a huge help for teachers and a big cost savings for them as well.
The very popular Adopt a Cow program kind of capitalizes on that kind of virtual connection.
Well,
Yeah, we've even started.
Go ahead, Alan.
No, I'm sorry. As I was going to mention, we've also started working on providing more virtual farm tours for our primarily for partners. So, for example, at the Kentucky Science Teachers Association conference in November, we hosted a virtual farm tour for the participants there. So, teachers, I think, really clamor for that inside information. I mean, it can be targeted to where it's the teacher audience, or you can also do it for the students if you want to do more of a classroom experience. There's a couple of different avenues to go there. But yes, we do appreciate that Adopt a Cow plug as well, because this group was instrumental in helping us spread the good word about it.
Laurie, with the curriculums that we have that classroom teachers can tap into, are there, like, you get the curriculum, you may be new to farm to school, so you're not completely, an expert around the concept. Do we have like identified subject matter experts or resources for the teachers people to reach out to for the, like, what this lesson, or to make sure they're understanding it appropriately, just to support them around the curriculums? I assume Extension maybe does that with their farm to school curriculum, and the other folks that do, is there support if they use those tools?
Well, part of what we want to do with this toolkit, it's for the community partners, but it may also be helpful to the classroom teachers to know what the community partners have to offer. Yeah, like I think a lot of classroom teachers don't know about extension, like what extension can do for them.
So, and that we're going to kind of, I guess we could highlight that, because every county in Kentucky has a public library, a health department, an extension office, and there's something else I'm leaving out too. It'll come to me in a minute, but I know those three every county has. That all of them, could support you in some way with farm to school. That just helping them identify, connections that would be standard across the board.
And then so the third part, I guess this is the second part. Part one had cafeterias and classrooms. Part three is about community partners, and what these different kinds of community partners what kind of role they can play. anything hop out as examples of where these kinds of community partners have contributed to farm to school activities?
Well, in my case, I mean, I like organize, a like program, like, events and provide prizes and things like that. So kind of I guess I provide the coordination of it, and then some incentives through the health department.
Monica, do you have a specific program you're able to code that to just as part of your time? Like, is that something standard that would be in every health department? Because someone told me that nutrition programming funding had gotten like slashed. I know Northern Kentucky's health department operates a little bit differently than
Yeah.
other locals that I didn't
We
know.
Well, under the maternal child health funding, the 5210 is underneath that, which
Okay.
is, promoting 5 fruits and vegetables and um is part of that. And then also working with like farmers markets and farm to school is also underneath that and
Okay.
working with schools, yeah. So
All
that's
right.
typically what I use.
So like when they would reach out to like maternal and child health people at the health department, that would be their
Mhm.
contact.
Yeah, or if they are already getting funding for that. There's a lot of funding that maternal and child health goes to. It's like
Yeah.
it's a wide thing that goes to.
So I was just thinking, would it be health education or nutrition? Because when I worked at the health department, our nutrition team did the WIC program.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it's actually separate from, I mean, it's separate from that.
okay. All right.
Yeah. We have some health educators that work under the maternal and child health funding in the community, and then also like with like safe sleeping, things like that. Um,
So probably give a list of those
yeah.
options for classroom teachers that when they contact, who would you potentially
Mhm.
ask for?
It could be a dietitian or a health educator, yeah, at
Yeah.
a health department. Hmm.
We heard earlier about Franklin County Farmers Market and how they are partnering with their school. Does anyone have an example for me of somebody in extension who's really been an advocate for farm to school activities? That could be either on the nutrition side or on the agriculture side. I need to interview somebody for this.
In Franklin County, we have had support kind of from all of our agents in one way or another. Less like necessarily being the one taking the lead, like making it happen in the first place, but in terms of with our family and consumer science folks being willing to be a field trip opportunity and be able to bring kids there and do a cooking class or whatever, or come to the school. Our one agent is coming to the preschool and doing a curriculum she was trained in with preschoolers. So that's been helpful. And then our 4-H agents, I mean, they try and work with fourth graders, like in all the county schools. But then if you reach out, are welcome. You know, we got chickens at our school connected to them, and they, you know, they brought the brooder, they did a little training, they brought the chicks, they, anyhow. So in terms of just bringing exciting resources and things, and then our port agent has been willing to come look at school gardens, talk about things, do disease testing, do free soil testing. Even when close to the school, I was like, I'm worried about heavy metals. Will you be the one to pay for the extra heavy metal test? You know, he's been very willing to do all of those kinds of things for us for free, which is nice. And then our ag agent, you know, there's a little less connection, but he's connected to Cattlemen's Association. And so when we did a big cookout, you know, he hooked up the big Cattlemen's grill to the back of his truck and brought it to both schools and invited all the cattlemen to come cook and talk to the kids and serve local steak and stuff. So all of them, you know, if you kind of know what the scope of things they do, we're lucky in Franklin County, but I think in lots of places, you know, they have a lot of resources at their fingertips. And if you know, like, the right questions to ask, they are very helpful.
Thanks. So this is an ongoing project, and anybody who wants to contribute to it more would love to Heather, she's an extension agent in Round County Extension.
Yes, she's their family and consumer science agent.
Okay.
I know when App Harvest was a thing, she worked with them in their high school to get one of the like shipping containers put out there, and they were growing lettuce and selling it to the cafeteria, but the ag classrooms were growing it and then selling it to the cafeteria, and they were serving it. And they ended up growing so much they were just sending it home with kids.
That's pretty cool.
And then they do another project where they Moorhead has given them some land, and the ag classrooms will go out there and do sweet potato slips and grow sweet potatoes, and then they go out there and harvest it. But I believe they either sell those at the farmers market, or they donate some to like seniors in the senior centers.
Great, thanks. So I want to take our last couple minutes and talk about plans for April. It's National Garden Month in April. I'm working on plans for a webinar series for school gardens. I'd also like to share some profiles of school gardens. There's so many different kinds of school gardens and combinations of indoor and outdoor growing and container growing and things that are more like farms. And so I'd like to put together a little template and see if people will contribute some information about some different school gardens so we can share some profiles. And I've also thought about doing some kind of a friendly contest. Maybe a photo contest, something that's, I thought about maybe putting together a bingo card so that there's like a variety of activities that people could pick and choose. Something that's flexible, that people can participate in different kinds of ways. Any thoughts on how to encourage people to participate in Garden Month?
Yeah, I like the sharing the different profiles of school gardens. That could be motivating and educational for everyone. Has it always been Garden Month or is that new?
I'm not sure how long it's been National Garden Month. It's not something that our network has really emphasized in the past.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good
So
opportunity.
this will,
Yeah.
we're tapping into something that's been going on.
I just want to offer like an apology in advance, and maybe like I am very grateful to like all the things that the Kentucky Farm to School Network does, and then sometimes like with, and there probably are other folks who like it's just hard to kind of get out of your own world of busyness and be like, oh, okay, we're gonna plant the school garden and we're gonna take pictures of it and send it into the contest. And so I think it's a wonderful thing, and also just the apology for not always participating in those things. Yeah. So anyhow, and there's probably other folks in Kentucky in the same boat too. So.
Yeah, I try to structure our activities like the Farm to School Challenge to be like super flexible and lots of different ways to participate. So definitely want to keep that going. Before we head out, our next meeting is scheduled to be in April, but I have suggested pushing the date a week earlier than usual. We usually are on second Tuesday, but looking at April 1st, no kidding. And we'll see what Garden Month plans come together, and then also look at planning ahead for last year. John and I planned, talked about doing a feature, some kind of farm to summer meals feature, but we got started planning too late. So this year we're going to get started planning earlier to
Yeah, to make that week. You anything I need to do on that in the meantime, Lori?
No, but we need to catch up. So
Okay. I will tell you at the summer food service trainings, there was like a round table on how you incorporate more local, like more fruits and vegetables into summer meals to improve the quality. And folks were, coming up with ways to do it and process it to like send home with non-congregate. And there was a discussion about the value chain coordinators, like being able to help connect farmers to summer meals. And that information got shared around with the group in Eddyville. I know for sure, but there was a discussion about fruits and vegetables going more local with those options.
great, glad to hear it. Thanks, John. So I think that's all for today. We're over time, but thanks for joining and for all your input on things. We will plan to see you in April and watch for stuff coming out in the newsletter soon.